Saint Nick, otherwise known as Santa Claus, was born in present-day Turkey. He was a Christian bishop who helped the families in need. He was a devoted Christian. He later served as a bishop at Myra, a city that is now called Demre. He was born on March 15, 270, in Petra, Rome Empire. Saint Nick has always been God-centered. From childhood, he lived a holy and humble life. According to legend, Saint Nicholas became the bishop of Myra after the bishop of that city died, and the other bishops gathered to elect a new prelate. They asked God to show them a worthy successor. Apparently, the oldest of those bishops had a vision in his sleep that the first man to enter the church the next morning to pray should be consecrated, and that man was Saint Nicholas. He became known throughout the land for his generosity to those in need. Because of his kindness, Saint Nicholas was made a saint. Saint Nicholas is not only the saint for children, but also the saint of sailors. One story tells of him helping some sailors that were caught in a dreadful storm off the coast of Turkey. The storm was raging around them, and all the men were terrified that their ship would sink beneath the giant waves. They prayed to Saint Nicholas to help them. Suddenly, he was standing on the deck before them. He ordered the sea to be calm, and the storm died away. They were able to sail their ship safely to port. Saint Nicholas demonstrates the theme of Matthew 22 because he's always lived a selfless life.
Another famous story about St. Nicholas was about a time he heard about a father who was very poor. This father had 3 daughters and was unable to pay for their marriage dowries. After hearing this, Nicholas gave the family 3 bags filled with gold over the course of 3 nights, one for each daughter to get a dowry. On the 3rd night, the father was able to see Nicholas as he was leaving, and said to Nicholas the next day, "Thank you, for you have saved me and my daughters from hell." Had St. Nicholas not done this, the 3 daughters would have been forced into prostitution. The theme of Matthew 22, 37-40 is seen clearly after Nicholas saves these girls from a life of sin. Another famous story about St. Nicholas was about a time he slapped another bishop. This happened in the year 325 during a meeting called together by Emperor Constantine. The bishop, by the name of Hercules, was talking about a topic which was and still is controversial to many, the Holy Trinity. Hercules kept trying to force the idea that Jesus the Son was not equal to God the Father. This quickly angered Nicholas and caused him to rush across the meeting room and to strike Hercules. Matthew 22, 37-40 can barely be seen from a radical perspective because Nicholas prevented a man from spreading heresies about God.
Saint Nicholas knew that God the Father was equal to God the Son because there are 3 divine persons in the mystery of one God to create the Holy Trinity. He also saw the truth of it and stood by it. Saint Nick is known throughout the world, but his legacy still lives on as Santa Claus. There are churches built for him because of what he did in his life. Especially in Russia, they honor him as the patron of Russia. He is also known throughout the world as the patron of children and gift-giving. Saint Nicholas was canonized before the Catholic Church began the process of canonizing saints. He died in 343 in Maria, where he was raised at and lived most of his life. 3 years before that, the Catholic head of Russia built a church for him to honor him. His feast day is December 6th. We all know that St. Nicholas's feast day is December 6th. The best thing that you should do is leave your shoes outside and see what you get the very next morning. St. Nicholas has changed his name into Santa Claus because of the Dutch word Sinterklaas. The reason is because of his gift giving and being a very good friend with children. Then people heard stories about him and poems, especially us Catholics. We all know his stories. This project was presented to you by Ricardo Romay, Elena Sanchez, and Sergio Gonzalez.